The Nintendo Switch 2 is apparently finally gonna be a thing. All this information is going to come from an analyst in Japan, so I don't know exactly how accurate all this is, but I don't know, it kind of lines up. I feel like the Switch has been overdue for a Switch 2 for a kind of long time at this point. Like, Nintendo, I know you sell a lot of consoles and you like to keep them going for as long as possible, but dude, your games don't even run on your own system. Pokemon is basically unbearable, and Zelda doesn't run very well. For a big game like that, it is not okay how poorly that game runs. I know it's fun, okay? I know it's a fun game. It is a good game. But under 30 FPS is unacceptable in the year 2024. And it was also unacceptable in 2023, 2022, and 2021, and 2020. I think 2019 was like the only other year you could have gotten away with it, okay? 30 FPS is not an acceptable number in my mind. Call me spoiled if you want to, okay? You're just mad that I'm not looking at a PowerPoint presentation when I play games. The Switch 2 is reportedly going to be a thing this year, which I do believe. But unfortunately, it might not be a big upgrade, which actually really sucks. Apparently, according to this article, the Switch Pro was actually a thing that they did work on and made, but they only really gave out dev kits and they never made anything like super official. So we probably won't get a Switch Pro, which really sucks because Zelda really does chug. It really does not run well. Not even Tears of the Kingdom, by the way. I'm just talking about Breath of the Wild. I can only imagine Tears of the Kingdom was probably a lot worse because Breath of the Wild had a lot of issues running. And that was the first one. That was the game that was supposed to be less expansive than Tears of the Kingdom. So, and reportedly the Switch 2 will cost $400, which I think is fine. It's not the best price in the world, especially when a Steam Deck is around that cost too, but it's also not a bad price. And as long as the games run at least 30 FPS, I'm sure it'll still sell. But hopefully they make it at least like, 45 or something. Please, just something that's above 30. I only say above 30 because whenever it drops below 30 FPS, it is unbearable to play. As I said earlier, I might just be spoiled, okay? But when you're playing a game and it's noticeably less smooth every time you do something, it's not an enjoyable experience. It just isn't. And there's not much more info past that. This thing will probably come out this year, and it will probably just be a bump over the original Switch, not like a massive overhaul or a Switch Pro model or something. I mean, hopefully it is like a somewhat impressive jump from the Switch because the Switch is super underpowered. It really is trying its best to run everything, and it's doing its best, but it's still a Switch. It's not that good. And the analyst also said there's a high chance that Nintendo will charge $70 for games now, which, like, yeah, I thought that was already happening. I mean, they did charge $70 for Tears of the Kingdom, which, like, not saying that's an unfair price. I think it kind of probably is. I know people don't like paying more for games, but, like, guys, games have maintained their price of $60 for way too long. I am honestly surprised they didn't go up sooner in price. And I understand why you're pissed if there's microtransactions in the game you already paid for. That's understandable. Like, you're gonna try to sell me stuff when I buy the game, even though I already paid full price for it. Yeah, that's totally understandable. But if it's like Tears of the Kingdom, I don't see an issue with it. That game is like super polished. And from what I've seen of benchmarks for the game, it doesn't run horribly, but it's still not great. Emulating the game is probably a better experience. And I know that's not legal, so I'm not saying you should do it, but I've heard it's much, much better. The Switch 2 better also run Pokemon, okay? That game needs some attention. I am tired of my Pokemon friends trying to cope and say those games are good. They're not. You don't even need to play them to recognize they're bad. The games run at like 12 FPS and they look horrid. So please, Nintendo, just make a good one so my friends who are obsessed with Pokemon stop coping so hard. It's sad. It'd also be great the Switch 2 could play older Switch games, but at higher frame rates. That would be fantastic. Honestly, I might buy it just for that reason. Because as much as I love the idea of emulation, because I don't do that myself, it would be nice just to own the console and play it on the console without having to emulate anything. Because, like, I do want to play games on the native system. I do enjoy doing that. But I can't when I'm playing a PowerPoint presentation. My brain does not like that. My eyes do not like that. I have evolved past looking at PowerPoints, dude. I did that when I was like 10, and I've had enough of it. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm an adult now. I want to look at pretty picture. They move smoothly and fastly. Okay, is it that much to ask? And if the Switch 2 isn't that much powerful than the original Switch, just make the dock a GPU or make it a GPU option. I know a lot of people who would pay extra money just to have the dock have like a GPU or APU in it or something just to boost the resolution they can output to their TV, because like 4K monitors are not super common, but 4K TVs are a lot more common now. It would be nice to push higher than 1080p to a 4K display, or, at least like 1440p, something like that. Yeah, you can't tell from far away because it's a TV, but But still, it'd be nice to have that option, and that's free money, Nintendo. That just make it. People will buy it. I guarantee it. Nintendo also might have a little competition now, which is the Valve Steam Deck. And I'm sure the Steam Deck's not gonna mess with Nintendo too much because the Nintendo console is arguably like a different audience. Like the Steam Deck is more for people who are adults who used to play Game Boys, and the Switch is more for kids who exist now. So I get that. But still, please, Nintendo, just make it at least like as powerful as the Steam Deck, or at least like a little bit less or something. Just get it close, please. Or Nintendo could add DLSS or FSR or something. From what I understand, I could be wrong on this because I'm not super up to date on Nintendo stuff. Nintendo does not have any kind of upscaling technology. And if it did have that upscaling technology, it would probably run things a lot better. And the next Switch probably will have something like that. Honestly, if it doesn't, I'll be really surprised. Oh yeah, I also tried to play Monster Hunter Rise on the Switch, and I'm pretty sure that game was like made specifically to cater to the Switch because World is just so much better in every single way. But I played Monster Hunter Rise on the Switch, and the game lagged so hard at like the starting area that like I was like, I can't play this. I know I can't play this. It was running at like actually like 24 FPS. It was so bad. And it's like genuinely, maybe I'm more sensitive to low frame rates because I've gotten older. Because when I was a kid, I didn't care. And to be clear, I am 23 years old. I am not 60, okay? But like I used to play TF2 on the worst PC alive at like legit like under 30 FPS pretty consistently. And I never had any issues and I really enjoyed the game. But now I just can't. It actually just hurts. And it might just be because I'm so used to having high frames because I am spoiled. I have 120 hertz monitors. So, but still, games should not be giving me like borderline headaches and making my eyes hurt. I shouldn't have to focus on something that hard. So yeah, hopefully the Switch 2 fixes all the issues with the Switch because it has a lot of them. And the Switch is a very good console and arguably we wouldn't have a Steam Deck without a Switch. So I think it was pretty important that it was made, but it's time. It's time to put it to rest, okay? That console has done enough. It's done enough work. There can only be so many horrible looking, ugly Pokemon games that you can release that run at like 12 FPS before you finally say, yeah, we concede, we need a new console. Like, for the love of God, dude. I'm not even into Pokemon that much. I just find it insane that Nintendo disrespects their IP like this so much. Like, I remember when the Switch was announced and released, and I thought, oh my God, finally, Pokemon's gonna have some really cool, like, third-person games. Maybe I could get back into it. No, that couldn't be further from what happened. The third person made it worse. It made it so much worse. And also, when the flagship IP for your console lags on your console, it's not a good look. Like, people will say, oh yeah, Breath of the Wild is a fantastic game, but we all know if Xbox released like some Halo game, even if it was fantastic, people would be livid if it ran like Zelda did on the Switch. And I think Nintendo just gets a pass for a lot of stuff like this because they're Nintendo and they typically do make good games. They don't have microtransactions. Basically, they're the lesser of two evils, but I will not stand for it, okay? I will not let Nintendo trample upon all of you and give you 22 FPS cutscenes. I will put an end to Nintendo's 30 FPS business practices. No, but seriously, we need to retire the Switch. It needs a new one. It needs a new one that runs at 60 FPS. It actually needs to do that. It is not 2007, for the love of God. But what do you think of the Switch 2? You think it's gonna be good? You think it's gonna be bad? Or you think it's gonna be horrible? Let me know in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, new. Follow me on Twitter @Spattins1, and click the answer to check out more of my content, and have a good one.